Got it! Hello, I'm Martin McKeay, your host for this segment of Akamai TV. Welcome back. I'm joined today by Frank Breedijk from Schuberg Philis. How are you doing today, Frank?
It's okay. It's been a great show, and we had a very productive day yesterday in the customer advisory board, so it's all good.
So now, you and I have been talking this afternoon about a very interesting concept of cloud craftsmanship. And you draw up the idea that craftsmanship is different from professionalism, is different from many of the things that we do in security. Could you help me understand a little bit of what you mean by that?
Well, craftsman, craftsman comes from somebody who understands his craft, who knows what he's doing, and professionalism just means you're getting paid to do something. And just because you're getting paid doesn't mean you're actually good at it. So with cloud craftsmanship, I'm trying to get towards a promise from professional colleagues that they will use cloud technologies, edge technologies in a professional, not in a professional way, in a craftsmanship-like way. So with quality, with respect, and come up with something that's a good outcome for everybody.
So where did you, you are pretty much writing a lot of this, working on a lot of this yourself. You've got some other folks involved, correct? And where are these ideas coming from? Is I guess
yeah.
So
the idea came to mind when we were discussing cloud with colleagues, and I'm a CISO, so I need to worry about being secure. That's what people hire me for, to worry for them. And at some point I was saying, yeah, well, we're having a suboptimal configuration here, and as I was discussing that with some of the leadership in our company, they said, yeah, it's all fine that you're going to put up guidelines here and saying you must do this or you must not do that. But what promise did people actually make to you on how you do this? And then I started thinking, and I can think, yeah, I can make a promise or we can write a hefty document, but the way and the speed at which cloud moves at this moment, if I write something today, it's going to be outdated in 2 to 3 months.
Right.
So what I wanted to do was to create a promise, to create a cloud craftsmanship manifesto that people could get to, and they could actually go to and say, hey, this is what I promised, this is what I want to do. I want to be a cloud craftsman, and that means, on a high level, it means this.
So give me an example. What is one of the biggest things that somebody is committing to? You've mentioned that they're committing to making a good product, making good use of the cloud, but how does that translate to a more concrete either goal or set of guidelines to get to a goal?
Yeah, so it's a layered approach. So on craftsmanship.cloud, there's a short manifesto that says, among other things, like if you got a great alignment right now between the cloud vendors and the cloud users, we both want services that work, services that are quick to deploy, easy to use, and secure. So unlike the old days where if you applied security guidelines to an infrastructure, it would stop working. And then you had to compromise the security to actually get something working. Nowadays, that's not the case anymore. If you take the security guidelines from Akamai, if you take the security guidelines from Amazon, if you take the security guidelines from Azure, and you apply them, stuff actually still works.
Okay.
And is well secured. So the first layer is this promise. It's this promise I will keep up with what's going on. I will stand on the shoulders of the giants. I will follow what the vendors thought of. I will follow what others thought of. And then on a page below that, there's actually a bigger explanation of what that means. So what does it mean if you want to, say, validate the trust that you have in a company like Akamai? And it actually links to your Akamai Trust Center, which is a page on your website where you say, okay, these are the certifications you have, and this is the formal sign-off, or the formal how we got audited and what enables you as a consumer to trust us.
So a lot of what you're doing is trying to set up a framework for kind of communicating that better, but making it also so that security professionals need to place a greater importance on that proof, both in their own companies and in others.
Yeah, and nowadays it's not just about the security professionals. I think that's the biggest change that this era has brought, that security isn't just my problem anymore, or the problem of the security people in the company. It's now everybody's problem. In the past, you could say, hey, I'm sitting in the middle of the Fortress data center.
Right.
There's 20,000 firewalls around me. There's a big perimeter, and I can get away with a non-craftsmanship approach because I'm only on the internal network.
Right.
Well, the perimeter is dead. It's just not realized it yet. So once you go to things like zero trust, if you go to paradigms where you deployed your applications only in the cloud, in that cloud there's nobody there with a big shield that's going to save you. There's nobody there. You're connected to the internet. Your application needs to be done right. It needs to be a bit of craftsmanship.
So that actually fits nicely with some of the ideas that, as you mentioned, Zero Trust bring up, but also just Akamai as a company, and I assume Schuberg Philis as well, uses the philosophy for our own interactions with our software and with other software. I've seen a couple of really good presentations, and admittedly by members of my team, on how we try and get back into making it part of the culture, of how that becomes a very important part of making security happen at a much lower level.
Yeah, you can't stop a craftsman from being a craftsman. I mean, my dad was a what's the word? A carpenter all his life, and if he would put a bit of wood together, then it would be thick enough, it would be wide enough, it would be nicely finished, just because he was a craftsman, and there wasn't another way he could do it.
Okay, but when you say craftsman that way, part of what it also means to me is this is somebody who spent hundreds, if not thousands of hours making mistakes and learning from those mistakes. And that takes a lot of time, and that is a lot of mistakes to add up. How do we take that philosophy of you're going to make mistakes, live with it, and learn from it, with a growing expectation of doing everything possible to make sure there are no mistakes?
Well, I think that's the interesting question of this age. And if we got the answer, I guess we'll be rich soon. But part of it does come from giving people the tools. If I don't tell you how you should be doing it, if I don't give you the pointers, it's like, hey, here's a new piece of equipment. This is how it works. This is what you can do to play with it. This is what you can do to experience. I can't expect you to be good at it.
Right.
So yeah, I think part of a craftsman, so somebody used to say to me, like, experience is equal to time worked and material lost, or material wasted. So as you make more mistakes, as you make more stuff that you can throw away, at some point you start to get good. And that, we should not expect people to just get out of college and then write a enterprise-grade security login screen. And maybe there you should stand on the shoulders of giants and you shouldn't do it at yourself at all.
General session is just about to begin.
So we have one more loud voice of God coming, but I do want to have a couple closing thoughts as soon as we get through this.
Sorry, you were lost there.
So, this is a long-term project, it sounds like.
It is a long-term project, and it's still in its infancy. It's hosted on GitHub, so it is a bit of open source not software, it's open source advice, I think I should call it, under Creative Commons, so everybody can do with what they want. And I'm really looking for input. So if anybody has any input, I would happy to hear it. Go to craftsmanship.cloud, click on the GitHub button, go to GitHub, file an issue, create a pull request, help me get the information there.
Take it out to play with it.
Take it out, play with it, see what you think. I'm excited to hear what other people think about this.
Well, I've been talking to Frank Breedijk, and Frank, thank you very much. We're now going to break, and you've been watching Akamai TV. Thank you very much.